How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Set 6, and what a trailer that was. Oh my god. I mean, what an event that was. The state of play was just absolutely wild. There's so much to go through. There's absolutely no chance that I'm going to get it all done in one video, so I'm just not even going to try to. I'm not even going to try to. We're going to break it up into a couple of phases. Now, first off, if you want to catch my playthrough of the demo, the VOD is still up on Twitch, so you can go and get that. I'll leave the link to it in the description so you can, watch through that and get my reaction for that. I might download it and upload it to YouTube at some point, but at the minute, we're going to start breaking down things from the state of play. And to begin that, we're going to start off with the trailer, because I feel like that's probably where a lot of the juicy stuff is. Make sure you're hitting the like button, subscribing for future content. If you've not played the demo yet, go and play the demo. Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good, it's ludicrously good. So yeah, go and play the demo if you haven't played the demo yet. But yeah, like, sub, all the things, but let's jump straight into it. So, this trailer opens up with Cloud and Sephiroth. Sephiroth's kind of bearing down on Cloud with his sword, and he's telling Cloud to bring him the black materia. Looking at the area that's around, I would guess that we're probably in the forest, near the Temple of the Ancients, around the Temple of the Ancients, something like that. It seems like it's something that's going to take place around that kind of time frame, and it's something that's a bit different to the OG, because in the OG, Sephiroth doesn't tell Cloud to bring him the black materia until we've got the black materia. We're not going to dwell on it too much, we're going to keep moving. Like I say, there's a lot of trailer here, so we're going to keep moving. Next up, we see a shot of the Turks, and they are at the Temple of the Ancients. Sung is putting the keystone into the altar, and again, this is slightly different to the OG. As far as I can tell, Sung doesn't take everybody with him to the Temple of the Ancients. All of the Turks don't go there, but here we see Rude, we see Reno, we see Sung. I would assume Elena's just behind Sung as well, so it seems like the whole gang's there, and we'll see more of that in a second. Because as we see this absolutely insane shot of the Temple of the Ancients kind of coming together and forming, and we'll talk about that in a second, but we see Hojo, we see Rufus, we see a Shinra helicopter flying in. So there is a lot more action going on at the Temple of the Ancients than there was previously. There are a lot more players in the area, involved in what's going down. And yeah, the Temple of the Ancients looks absolutely mind-blowing. It's insane. It looks so good. Does anyone else think it looks a little bit like the Shinra logo? Not completely, but like the rough outlay of it and the design of it, the Temple of the Ancients, it looks very much like the Shinra logo. But yeah, while this helicopter's flying in, we've got Hojo. We're getting Hojo talking over this scene, and Hojo's talking about the reunion at this point, seemingly. He's talking about the beginning of the end, the celebration of the faithful, a watershed moment for humanity. This is him talking about the reunion. So yeah, a few differences here to the OG, which is what we'd expect. Everything that kind of makes sense though, it does make sense, and Hojo being there is a very interesting twist. I'm looking forward to seeing what Hojo's going to get up to. And yeah, again, just look at the temple. Oh my god. Oh my god. Anyway, moving on. We see more scenes of the Turks, Hair and Shades, as I've decided to call them now, Hair and Shades. And we see some fighting, we see Shades taking on Tifa. We see some pretty cool stuff. Things are obviously going down at the Temple of the Ancients. There's obviously a reasonable degree of difference to the Temple of the Ancients, and I'm looking forward to it. It seems like it's going to be a pretty big set piece. Which makes sense. And then after that, we get a few more synergy moves showcased to us. We see a bit more combat. We also get the hardest shot in the trailer, potentially, which is the shot of Aerith and Barrett with the shades. Oh my god. It's so good. And I'm really enjoying seeing the characters' personalities shining through a bit more in the combat and in their physicality, the way they move, the way they act, and these little synergy moves. Very big fan of it. Very big fan of it. Now moving on, we get some weird stuff. We get Palmer in a mech of some sort. And I'm not sure when that's going down. We don't really see any of the scenery around him or anything like that. But yeah, we fight Palmer in a mech. And then we see Corneo and Absu at the Gold Saucer. A little bit confused by both of these things, but we're definitely going to see more Don Corneo, which is something that's speculated about recently. So yeah, not massively shocked that we see a bit more Don Corneo. But the Palmer thing's weird. We get a few more shots from the desert prison. We see Gilgamesh again, and we need to talk about the implications of Gilgamesh appearing in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, given Gilgamesh's kind of relationship with the franchise of Final Fantasy in general. But that's a separate video. I'm not going to dive into that right now. That could become a very deep rabbit hole, so we won't go there. But with all of the timeliney, reality, live streamy stuff going on at the minute, and then Gilgamesh shows up. I think that warrants conversation. So yeah, we'll circle back round to that in the future. We will circle back round to that in the future. Then we get to see our boy Roche, and he's pretty annoyed at Cloud. He's extremely annoyed at Cloud. He sounds like he's going a bit off the deep end, potentially, with the voice acting. You know, he sounds like he's conveying that he's kind of... Cloud's pushed him to the edge and kind of embarrassed him, and he's not going to lose again. He's not going to take that again. So maybe we are seeing the beginning of... A lot of people theorise that Roche would kind of undergo additional soldier augmentations in order to make himself stronger, and that's what we'd see when we see him again. This kind of leans into that a bit. If he hasn't already, maybe another loss to Cloud will then push him down that route. It could go either way. I'm interested to know what this arena is as well. It's like a big circular kind of battle arena of some sort. Is it a battle arena, or is it just a room that conveniently fits this fight? It's probably just a room that conveniently fits the fight. Anyway, I've spoke about Roche far too much. There are far bigger things to talk about in this trailer. We move on. And straight away we get this shot of Cloud stabbing Sephiroth. And Sephiroth approves of this and tells Cloud to fill his hollow heart with rage. And this kind of feels like he's pushing the same kind of angle that he went with in the OG. So Sephiroth kind of went with the angle of convincing Cloud that he was created, that he was a puppet, that he's not a real boy, basically. And he's telling Cloud to fill his hollow heart with rage. Feels like he's kind of trying to tap into that and destabilise Cloud even further than he already is, which is something that we saw in Remake as well. So, makes sense that this is continuing. Not too sure where this is. I'm not 100% where this is. We don't really get a massive amount of shots of the area around. So, yeah, let me know what you're thinking about where this is. I guess I'd say Junon, or maybe the Nebel reactor, something like that. You know, not in the flashback or anything like that. Yeah, it looks reactor-y, it looks Shinra-esque. So, that's my guess. And the first part of the trailer ends here, but then it cuts and we see Zack with Aerith. So I assume this is back in the Midgar bubble. Aerith looks quite dirty and messed up, in the same state that she's in when we see her getting loaded onto the, you know, the Shinra rescue trucks after the events at the end of Remake. So that first trailer where we see that everyone's been involved in the accident and we see the party all getting loaded onto helicopters and trucks. It's that Aerith. And it seems like it's potentially around that kind of time frame as well. So this suggests to me that Shinra might collect the bodies of these people, but then it seems like someone intercepts that. Maybe Zack himself, maybe Biggs, maybe some other Avalanche element or something like that. Or maybe just something goes wrong and they lose Aerith again. But something seems like it's going on, but we see Zack with Aerith and he's kind of saying, you know, I came back. So, whew, this is where the fun stuff starts happening. Straight after that scene, we see scenes that seem like the potentially post-Temple of the Ancients, but maybe not. Aerith's still with the group, so that's what makes me question that. But this figure, this tall, purple-skinned figure covered in like bone armour and like very tribal gear, he's asking that we retrieve the black materia, the thing that is the key to oblivion, and that if we do this, it can liberate them from an endless dream. This is super weird stuff. So, first off, let's talk about who this is. I have a couple of possibilities. And not a name or anything like that, but it looks very Gi tribe, potentially, but it's not the Gi attack, I don't think, because we fight the Gi attack, and we see a shot of it in some footage later on in the State of Play. I'll pop it up on screen briefly now. But yeah, we see the Gi attack and it's not that. But this character definitely holds a lot of familiarities with the Gi tribe. And it kind of got me thinking. I had a conversation with Ars Omnia on Discord and we bounced a couple of ideas forwards and backwards about who it could be. So these are my thinkings. Number one, it's an ancient of some sort. Like, you see the purple skin, and if you look back to the OG, you see the Ancients, and they've got that purple motif going on. Slightly different, but similar. Similar-ish. So, possibly it's the Ancients. It seems to bear more familiarity with the spear-wielding enemies that we fight in the Gi Cave underneath Cosmo Canyon. That seems to be the closest physical kind of familiarity and comparison. But then, Just the area and the bone motif makes me think of Bone Village, which we also see a little bit later on in this trailer. So, going off that and thinking about it, what if back in like the long ago, when the ancients were the nomadic people and they settled down eventually and joined humanity, what if there were some break-off tribes from that who continued a semi-nomadic or at least tribal lifestyle? One of them being the Gi Cave and the Gi Natak and the Gi people, all that sort of business, and the other one maybe being people who settled Bone Village, and maybe some of them went to the Temple of the Ancients. I don't know, there's a lot of weird similarities there between those kind of three ideas. So this is one of the ones that I'm going to think about. We're going to come back, we're going to do another video about this and kind of deep dive into it a bit more. I'm going to keep moving now, but very interesting. Let me know what you're thinking about that in the comments below. And also, the waking from the endless dream. Is anyone getting Xanakand vibes? And the faith? No? Just me? Wonder what the dream is. Moving on. Next up, we get a reveal of Cissnei, who clearly recognises Cloud. We don't see anything beyond that, but yeah, we see Cissnei, and Cissnei 100% recognises Cloud. So that could be a real interesting moment. Could we see Cissnei and Tifa having a conversation maybe about what's going on? Will Cloud get some kind of realisation of Zack earlier than he does in the OG? Because I can't see Cissnei not talking about Zack. Like, genuinely, unless Tifa kind of pulls her to one side and kind of goes, let's have a conversation about Broken Cloud for a minute. Cissnei would 100% bring up Zack. So this could be a pretty pivotal moment that we're seeing right here, and we don't see much of it, but let's keep going. And the next thing that we get are some more chill shots. So we see Johnny in Costa del Sol, as well as some shots of the gang in Costa del Sol. We see various outfits. We see Sailor Barrett, which is very cool. We get Kate Sith then offering a reading outside the Gold Saucer, it looks like. And then we get Yuffie talking about a facility that's got some materia in it that everyone's kind of stood outside. Potentially that's where some of the stuff that we saw earlier on happens with Roche and Sephiroth. Not too sure about that, but you know, it's possible. It's possible. Then we see some overworld traversal stuff, and in there we definitely see the entrance to Bone Village. And for me, the vibe is similar to the scene from earlier on with the purple guy. So I'm not too sure. Like I say, we'll deep dive back into this in another video, but there's definitely some connection between the Gi and this person. Whether or not he is a member of the Gi, maybe it's the spirit of the Gi Natak, and we defeat it and then it speaks to us. That's another possibility. There are many possibilities with this. We'll keep moving. We see some shots of Elena, we see some Vincent, and then we get the mini-games, and there's just like a little mini-game showcase here where they give us a few more. And we get like the dolphin minigame where we're doing some like dolphin speedboat thing. I don't know, it looks pretty fun. We get more Queen's Blood, and the more I see of this game, the more into it I am. We see the parade minigame, which looks very cool. Looks very reminiscent of the dancing minigame from the Honeybee Inn in Remake. So I would expect very similar from that. And then we see some sort of shooting minecart game where you're on a track and you're riding along and you're shooting things. I'm going to guess that's North Corel. I've got a feeling that's probably in the North Corel area, so yeah, that seems like it's about right. Then we get more shots from the Temple of the Ancients, I'm guessing. We see Aerith doing some sort of magical ritual or something at this altar, like a runic kind of thing on the ground, and she's doing something. It's probably Temple of the Ancients or some other ancient ruins, because I am going to guess that we're going to see more ancient ruins as we progress through the game. I don't think it's just going to be the Temple of the Ancients, so that's a possibility. And the reason I think it's possibly the Temple of the Ancients is because the next shot that we see is Cid and Vincent, possibly Vincent, but definitely Cid not entering the temple. Cid's kind of saying, I'll be outside, when you need to leave, we're good. So Cid doesn't enter the Temple of the Ancients with us, it seems. It looks like Vincent might not either. I'm not too sure about that, we'll keep an eye on it. But it makes sense given the fact that they're non-controllable, they're escort characters in this game. So it would make sense if they don't come in with us. It just kind of cuts down on the logistics of what you've got to manage in there. So yeah, that's fine. And I'm going to just pause for a second at this point and just let you know, this is where the trailer starts going really hard. Like, this is where it starts going super hard. So brace yourself. We get a shot of Rufus in the Shinra building, and Sung says, an emissary from Wutai is here, sent by Viceroy Saroth. And that emissary that has been sent from Wutai is the hooded figure. And the hooded figure removes the hood. In that moment, we don't see what we see, but Rufus looks absolutely flabbergasted by what he sees. So, looking forward to that scene and getting to see what Rufus sees. I still don't really know who it's going to be. They're obviously connected with Wutai, which means they're obviously connected with anti-Shinra sentiment and movement. I don't think we can rule Glenn out, still. I don't think it is. It didn't massively look like Glenn, but I don't think we can rule it out. It's someone, though, and it's someone Rufus knows, and it's going to be a thing. So I'm looking forward to that reveal. Next up, we get to the scene with Dine, and yeah, it seems like it's going to be the usual stuff. But anyway, we're going to move on, because now we get to the really juicy stuff. So we see Cloud, and he's quoting Sephiroth about Jenova. And it's Sephiroth from the end of the Summer Games Fest trailer. So where it's Sephiroth on what I assume is the Shinra Ferry, and he's summoning the next form of Jenova to fight against the group. And he talks about how Jenova can become anyone to fool her prey. Someone you hate, someone you love, someone you fear, any of it. Everything's on the table. And he stands up with his sword, and he seemingly swings at Tifa. And it seems like this coincides with the shot that we see of Tifa falling backwards into the mana pool. So, yeah, this is pretty weird. Also, in this trailer, there's no blood on Cloud's face. However, when you play the demo and get to the end of it and watch the trailer at the end of the demo, which is the same trailer, there's blood on Cloud's face. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that's meant to suggest. I don't know if this is maybe an older version of the trailer and they've removed it. I don't know. But that's pretty weird. So let me know what you're thinking about that in the comments. Did anyone else notice that? Because I thought it was pretty weird. So yeah, again, this is going to be something that we're going to have to look at in another video, I think, because it seems to be driving at that Tifa isn't Tifa kind of vibe again. This is Sephiroth trying to drive that wedge between Cloud and Tifa and convince Cloud that Tifa's not Tifa. And it's not the first time that we've heard this sort of stuff in the promotional material for Rebirth. So yeah, we're going to deep dive more into this one, but let me know what you're thinking about that in the comments below. I think it probably is just as simple as he's trying to destabilize Cloud, and therefore take away another piece of his support network, and therefore push Cloud closer to being Broken Cloud. That seems to be what we're going for, but let me know what you're thinking in the comments below. The next thing that we see is Sephiroth walking up the steps to the church in Midgar, and Zack's there. And Zack seemingly goes to follow Sephiroth up the steps, and Sephiroth turns around and says, "No, not you," and then slashes at him. At least that's what it's framed to look like. He might not be slashing at Zack, it might be something else, but it seems like he's slashing at Zack. It could be that maybe Biggs is there with him, and he's like, "No, Zack can come, but not you." But it's framed at the minute to make it look like Sephiroth is rejecting Zack and not allowing Zack access to the church. Which is interesting in itself. Why? Why not? Also, this is the first time that we've seen Sephiroth in that secondary universe. At least this is the first time that we can 100% say that we've seen him in this secondary Midgar bubble. This is the very first time that we can 100% say that, because he's interacting with Zack. But that's not all we see. The next shot is Aerith in the church, inside it, giving Cloud the white materia and saying, "Here, this isn't about me though, this is about saving the world." Like, I don't know what to make of those two things. The first initial thoughts that this is giving me before I sit down and properly think about it and dive into it. But the first, again, this is going to be another one of those, another video topics. But the thing that it's making me think is that the church is potentially some central point or conduit between these two realities that seemingly exist in the remake project. So you've got the world that we are in, the Cloud party, that we are exploring and that we are going through. And then you've got this world where Zack is and Aerith's unconscious, Cloud's unconscious, Sephiroth has popped up. People have survived that don't survive, like Biggs and stuff like that. So you've got these two separate existences. And we don't know what they are, we don't know whether they're timelines, we don't know whether they're potentially dreams, because that conversation earlier on about wake us from this endless dream could very much mean a Zanarkand type situation. And, you know, not for nothing, but if you think back to one of the final bosses in Final Fantasy VII Remake, it was Genova Dreamweaver. Just going to let that one hang out there, and I'm going to go back to the topic, but just think about that for a bit, because I'm thinking about it a lot. I don't know what it means yet, but I'm thinking about it a lot. But yeah, coming back to this, the church seems like it's potentially like a conduit or a central point, and that would explain a few things. That would explain why we can see Aerith and Cloud interacting about the white materia in this moment, because I'm going to guess that Aerith isn't the Aerith that Cloud has been chilling with and going through the world with. I don't think that's the same Aerith. It could be that that's not even the Cloud that we've been using. This could be the Cloud that we see with Zack. Like, there are so many possibilities for this. This is why it's going to take another video to properly flesh this theory out. But this being the focal point, it makes sense why Sephiroth rejects Zack. No, you're not allowed to cross this boundary. No, that'll mess things up. Maybe that's what's going on. It's weird. It's super weird. It's super interesting though. I'm going to be thinking about this a lot over the next few days. Leave your thoughts on this in the comments below. But we're not done. We've still got a couple more huge things from this trailer, and then we're done. So the next shot cuts to the Forgotten Capital. So we see a very similar scene to the end of Remake when we're fighting Sephiroth with all like the whispers and the tendrils and everything like that. And we see Sephiroth with one wing just floating there in the sky with all of the stuff swirling around him as per usual, and behind him we see the Forgotten Capital. We also don't see Aerith. So that could mean a few things. That could mean that this has happened before we go in, because we are outside the Forgotten Capital, so we've not gone in yet, you know, into that main area where things happen, which could easily mean that this is kind of like a pre-event fight. Oh my god, what's going on? This is insane. There's so much stuff going on. But yeah, and while this is going on, we hear Sephiroth saying, the reunion, when spite and sorrow are harvested to feed the planet. He's trying to suggest that the reunion is part of the natural cycle of the planet at this point. That's what it sounds like. That is genuinely what it sounds like he's trying to suggest. And that's very possible, you know, the live stream can be viewed as one entity in itself, like the river of life, that kind of thing. So if you were to view the live stream from that perspective, if Sephiroth was to achieve, let's say his goal is the same as it is previously to hit the planet with Meteor, if Sephiroth was to achieve that, he would be returning a lot of the live stream to the river of life, to the live stream, you know, he'd be bringing it all back together, a type of reunion. I don't know. That's just like a little reachy thing there. But then the final shot of the trailer that we get. So we've just seen Sephiroth outside the Forgotten Capital. One wing, no Aerith with the party. We're going in. But then we cut inside, and we see a shot of Sephiroth and Cloud. And if you freeze it on the right spot, you'll see that Sephiroth's blade is angled directly downwards. I think this is Cloud trying to intervene. Whether he's successful or not, we don't know. But this looks like Cloud trying to intervene in Sephiroth's big moment, shall we say. What a trailer, man. What an absolute madness of a trailer. And this isn't everything. I've still got more to go through. We've got the state of play footage to go through. That's probably going to be a video that drops tomorrow or the day after. I'm going to go through that. Then we'll talk about the demo. Then we'll talk about everything. There's been some interviews as well. I'm playing catch up. I am playing catch up again here. But that's when we do our best work. So, I'm going to end this video here because it's super long. Thank you very much for watching. Leave me your thoughts in the comments below about any part of this trailer. There will be separate breakout videos coming from some points in this trailer, in this video. So definitely the Ginatak purple skinned guy who's talking about the endless dream. Definitely going to break out into that video. The church, definitely going to be talking about that. Possibly the Temple of the Ancients and the increased involvement of Shinra at that. And it really is weird that the Temple of the Ancients looks like the Shinra logo. I genuinely feel like that's quite weird. There's a lot of weird stuff in this trailer, but my god, my hype has gone through the roof. Yeah, I'm going to end the video now. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know where you're at, how are you feeling about it. Like the video, subscribe for future content, but more importantly than anything, have a great day.